Hey nerds, we are going to do a review and breakdown of Agatha All Along episode 3, starting now. Welcome to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. So we are now at Agatha All Along episode 3. This episode is directed by Rachel Goldberg and written by Cameron Squires. The title of this episode is Through Many Miles of Tricks and Trials. And the spoiler-free logline is that the coven faces their first perilous trial on the Witch's Road. So my impressions of this episode is that it went by pretty quickly, but also was really action-packed, and it had a lot of storylines and also some things about each of the witches' past, which was really cool. I thought that there was definitely some very compelling dramas that were happening, and also some supernatural stuff that they've been teasing at Marvel, but they haven't really put it into practice. I think that for some people, they look at Werewolf by Night as being part of that supernatural genre of Marvel, and also maybe even Moon Knight. But I think that this really does go full on supernatural, and I really did enjoy it overall. So in terms of rating, I would give it a 9, which is a movie marathon, because it really did bring a lot of those elements into play, and it kept the story moving along in a way where it was very compelling, and it had also a sense of housewife type of atmosphere. If those of you that watch any of those Bravo Housewives reality shows, it does bring that element to it, which was really fun and interesting. And also the energy of the actors were pretty good overall. But I would also like to hear what you have to say about episode 3 and about Agatha All Along so far. Please like, share, subscribe for more content like this. We really appreciate your support. And let's get right to the spoilers, shall we? All right, spoilers ahead. So we get to the first scene here of them being on the Witch's Road. So it really just picks up right after episode 2, as they took off their shoes and then they started walking on the road. And of course, Sharon Lewis, who is Mrs. Hart, she calls herself Sharon, and wanders away from the coven, being very frustrated with this endeavor because she was picked out of some randomness by Agatha. And so in a lot of ways, she's like the one that does not understand what's going on. A good comparison to this is pretty much like Peter from X-Force. It's like this regular person that's being thrust into this world that he or she does not understand. So it was really interesting in that sense. Sharon was able to sit down, get off the roads, and then was actually rescued because her bag was getting sucked in by this supernatural force, and the other witches in the coven had to get her out of it. And from there on, they were able to maybe try to figure out what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. They don't really know, but they lost until this happened, where they were able to find a beach house, which is a rather large beach house. Again, this is where I was talking about the housewives element. The house, when you go into it, is like the person that would host a big dinner party. And we don't know who came up with the house, but it just appeared, and people were relieved to see what was going on and that there might be some way to get out of their predicament. But they slowly realized that the house was pretty much a trial. And so they were lounging around, looking at the house. It was really nice, really fancy. I think Disney really paid a lot to do this. But they find a bottle of wine that was there. And so this is, again, the housewives element comes in, where they all had their costumes changed, their hair changed, and each of them had to drink a bottle of wine to go through this trial. And of course, Teen is underage, so he is not allowed to do it. And Agatha made that very clear, that he cannot drink from there. But what happened was that they quickly found out there were side effects too. Now, initially, Agatha did not drink it. The other 4 witches did drink it, and they puffed their faces up like this. And so it was very comedic timing there. And it brings about a lot of questions as to what's going on. Agatha, again, like I said, did not really drink the wine at first. The people had to go through their own trials of it, but they figured out that the whole coven had to drink it. So this is where Agatha drank the wine reluctantly, and what happened was that Agatha then swelled up like this. After the swelling up, they figured out that there was some hallucination, which eventually would have led to their deaths. And you can see here that Agatha is trying to convince Jen to come up with an antidote to this, because there's got to be a way to stop this poison from having them die from it. So she came up with some ingredients, and they all split up to go to try to find those ingredients in order to have the antidote that Jen was able to prepare. While this was happening, there was a lot of hallucinations. Now, I'm not sure as to the context of why there was this person in Jen's life. It is definitely from her past, but we don't really get to understand why does she have this hallucination happen to her, and we don't know who this mystery character is. It didn't really say anything in the episode, but it might be some comic book deep cut, but we're not 100% sure. And then we see that Alice has a hallucination of her own, seeing her mother commit suicide by fire. It was a very touching moment in a lot of ways for her, because she's been a very free spirit, and I think that there were some parental issues that she had to overcome. And so this was an embodiment of that. And then we see at the end of Agatha's hallucination, which was that she traded her baby for the Darkhold. And so this is her realization, and she also brought a lot of emotion into how she gave up her baby, and it's probably some sort of regret that she had for doing that. And then finally, this is near the end where the coven comes together. They have all the ingredients for the antidote, except for the fact that they had to have some blood of someone who actually did not drink wine. And lo and behold, Teen was the only one that did not drink, and so his blood was used in order to fulfill the requirement of the antidote. Each of them then drank the antidote, and they were able to be cured from whatever poison that they drank from. And toward the end here, you can see in the background that the house actually became underwater. Now, we don't know who's controlling that. It doesn't really say in the episode, but there's some forces that are going on that's giving them this weird trial. And Alice here is trying to move Sharon away from the table, as Sharon was the one that was feeling dizzy, fainted, and then passed out, basically. And so there was another creative element where at the end of the second episode, you saw that they were going down a doorway that was on the floor, and they opened it, and then they went down the stairs, and then they were able to go to the Witch's Road. Here, what's happening is that they're actually opening an oven, and they had to crawl through it. And some of them was very reluctant to crawl through it. I think that was Lilia was the one that had the most resistance to crawling through the stove in order to get to the Witch's Road. But in any case, they all did it anyway, and they were able to save themselves from being drowned. And then finally, we find out that at the very end, the antidote seemingly did not work on Sharon. And so Teen was the one that said that she died. Now, we don't really know whether or not she is really dead, or is this just fake? We don't really know that. But we'll probably find out in the next episode as to what happens to the fate of Sharon, and also to the fate of the coven. But like I said, overall, I think that this episode was really great. It had a lot of elements into it that was really thought-provoking, but also a lot of elements that were supernatural. I was really thrilled to see that Marvel is trying to be bold, and it also reflects on the ratings so far that we've seen, where people have been really receptive to the first 3 episodes. So hopefully this momentum carries on until the end of the episodes, which will actually happen near Halloween. So those are my thoughts on episode 3 of Agatha All Along. Now it's time for you to say what you have to say about the episode. So comment down below, like, share, subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you in the next one. All right, take care, everybody.